Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Tyler. Welcome back to the Tyler Wilkins channel. I'm here with myself, and we are here to review Bates Motel Season 5, Episode 1, Dark Paradise. Now, I know I am very much 7 days late. I'm very much aware that I'm very late on making this video, but I do have an excuse. I do not have cable, so I do not have a way to watch A&E, so I did not have a way to watch Bates Motel Live. Now, me, personally, I'm a person who likes to watch things live. I'm not really one to DVR things. I used to be, but not so much now. I like to watch things when they happen, so that way I'm up to par with everyone else. But because I couldn't, I was kind of angry that I couldn't watch it, and I didn't end up watching it until now. I got a chance to watch it by going on ANETV.com, and I was able to, get a way to get the video back up. So that was all good. Good in that sense. I was able to see this episode. I was very excited for it because Bates Motel Season 4 ended on a great note. Episode 9, Norma dying, teardrop. My favorite. She's like one of my favorite characters on the show. And episode 10 was just awesome, and it just led to this episode, which was the premiere. I'm not going to get too much into everything because I'll be here all day, and there's only 30 minutes until the episode actually starts. So I'll start with the basis. If we start off with Norman, we did see Norma in this episode, for those who were wondering, because I know a lot of people were very upset that Norma died, which she died in the movie adaptation, so that kind of makes sense. Very upset with Norma dying because they're like, oh, she's not going to be on the show. It's going to kind of drag without her because she's like the lead on the show, aside from Freddie Highmore, who's also very well in his role. And I was like, I don't think it's going to be bad without Vera Farmiga on the show, but it will feel kind of awkward, But then I heard interviews that she's going to be on the show in some sort of extent. I'm like, okay, so we're going to see Norma on a show from the point of view of Norman, in his mind. And that's just what we saw here. We saw Norma on the show, basically as she would be on the show, but Norman's mind, through Norman's point of view, Norman's vision. Beginning the show, we opened with Norman and Norma having breakfast, and that was kind of the beginning part. We saw clips of Officer Ramiro. Every time I saw a clip of Officer Ramiro, glee went through my veins. Like, I'll be for say. First few seasons, I didn't really like Ramiro that much. I'm like, okay, he's just a background character, and I'm trying to make him into someone I really don't care. First 3 seasons, I really did not care much for Officer Ramiro. Once we got to the beginning of the 4th season, where he got married to Norma, I'm like, okay, it's time can start to kind of get into the character, because now he's married to Norma and whatnot. Then the whole thing with Norma dying and him having a vengeance for Norman, and he has slowly become one of my favorites on the show now. Like, I cannot wait until he gets bailed out of jail and kills Norman. I am praying that he kills Norman. It may not happen. I feel like at the end of the show, we're going to see Norman end up killing Officer Ramiro, which would suck, but I said that might happen. But I'm fingers crossed he kills Norman in the end. It's on Norma. But anyway, saw clips of Officer Ramiro training. He's training to kill Norman. You can tell just how angry he is, punching the punching bags. He has a picture of Norma up in the cell. That happened with what's his name? Wow, I forget Norman's brother's name already. It's terrible. My God. See, this is this thing that happens when you're live, is that when you forget shit, there is no way of, pausing the video and editing this out, because now I made a mistake of not remembering his brother's name. What is it? I don't want to say Alex. This is Alex Ramiro. Dylan. There it is. Dylan and Emma. I took a minute, but we saw what happened with Dylan and Emma. They had a child, and now Dylan's in the brewery business, so to speak. They had a child, which means that this takes place either a year, I'm going to say a year, after season 4, because at the end of season 4, Emma wasn't pregnant. As far as we know, Emma wasn't pregnant. And it takes 9 months to have a child, which means that this had to have taken place either a year, maybe 2 after the events. So there's that. They had their child. They were having a party for Emma's birthday, and here out of nowhere comes Caleb. And for those of you who don't remember, Caleb is both the uncle and father of Dylan, which is because he had sex with Norma, who Norma is his sister, so it's kind of Uncle Dad, which is gross, but so Uncle Dad came to visit, and he basically said, okay, I'm backed up on loans, I don't have a place to stay, I was just hoping I could crash on your couch for a few nights until I get back on my feet. And they're like, yeah, why not? Dylan's still kind of iffy because him and his father have kind of a weird relationship where Dylan's kind of wants to still have him in his life, but then part of him is like, no, there for most of my life, you raped my mother, all this kind of stuff. But then it's like, you're my father, still love you in some sort of mutual way, so he's kind of iffy on the whole thing. And we saw that because when he was talking to Emma in private, he was talking about how, yeah, he's my father, and I want him to be part of our family, but it's kind of awkward for me having him here because of the relationship that we have. It's kind of awkward, but he's like, I know that his intentions are to move near us or move in with us, and I was like, yeah, I know, and they kind of had to talk that out. So that came into play a little bit later in the episode. Then we got back to Norman. He was out getting repairs for the Bates Motel. He went to this hardware store where he met this girl who I believe works at the hardware store. He was getting paint or something. He went to go pay for it, and we saw a little bit of connection between the girl and Norman, possible relationship right there, but the relationships with Norman always end badly. We saw them clicking, which is good. Norman went to go pay for his objects, and he pulled out someone else's wallet, a man who I've never seen before. He pulled out a random man's wallet, and I'm like, all right, Norman, killing people already. See how it is. Start off with Norman kill someone, and he's like, well, I don't know who all this is. I'm gonna have to go. I'll come back and pay for it. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Gets back to the house. He's asking his mother. Remember, Norma's dead. So he's talking to himself, basically. He's asking Norma, would you know where wallet came from? And, Norma will all make up excuses like, no, I don't know where it came from. He probably just, she's like, no, why are you questioning me? And don't question me. And you're probably just hallucinating because, you have blackouts and all kinds of stuff. Norman is always making up excuses. And Norman fall forward. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And she's like, just put it in the safe. Put the law in the safe so that way if he ever comes back, give it to him. Little do we know, he's dead. But we'll get to that in a second. We do see more clips of Officer Ramiro training, and once again, I'm just like, yeah, Officer Ramiro, please train, and right to Norman, because when he punched Norman in season 4, episode 9 and 10, I was cheering so hard. I was never so happy for someone getting beat up in a show like I was when Officer Ramiro was punching Norman in the face. Other than Walking Dead, when Carol was fighting Morgan, and even though she lost, or Carol in season 5 of Walking Dead when she took down Terminus. But anyway, needless to say, he's training to kill Norman. So subside that, we go back to Emma and Dylan. They have their baby, whatnot. I believe Caleb is downstairs. He's getting the slice of cake, and I believe Emma comes in. They start talking because earlier in the episode, Dylan told Emma about how Caleb basically paid for most of her surgery, so that way she can most of her lung transplant, so that way she can have better lungs. He's like, he paid for it, and kind of have a debt of gratitude towards him for that. And so she knows that now, and you're thinking that, okay, maybe since now she knows that he paid for her lung transplant, then maybe she's going to ease up and have him stay around. But no, she actually says that, look, I respect you and I will always be thankful and grateful that you paid for my lung transplant. But you are making my husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know. I don't remember if they're married or not. I think it's just boyfriend. But you're making Dylan feel uncomfortable, and I can't have you staying here if he's going to be uncomfortable. Like, I'm sorry, but you got to go, basically. That's kind of what she said. She kind of said, you can't stay here. You got to go. Not now, but, you got to go. And he's like, all right, I understand. And there went from that. I believe later on, because that whole Dylan and Emma dilemma basically blew over. Alex Ramiro thing blew over as well. Then we got to Norman and Norma once again. Another reminder. Norma's dead. I have to keep on saying this because I know people want to be like, oh, Norma's there. She's not dead. Like, Norma's dead. So we get to Norman and Norma, and now Norman started to have flashbacks to when Norma killed that guy in the hotel room. I guess the guy had a gun that was going to shoot Norman. For what reason? I have no idea. They didn't say why, which is kind of weird. But he was going to shoot Norman. Norma came out of nowhere and killed the guy in cold blood. And they took the guy. The guy went out to a lake and dumped the body, just reminiscent of episode 1 when we saw Norman and Norma dumping the body of that guy who tried to rape Norma. If you guys remember episode 1, season 1 of Bates Motel, when the guy came in and basically tried to rape Norma, and Norman killed him, and then they went out to a lake and they threw the body over the river. It was very reminiscent of that episode when they took him out to the lake and threw his body out to the river. And Norma was like, well, don't act like you haven't done this before. You're like, we've done this before. And they went to go dump the guy's body, and then they got a phone call. Norman answered it, which he shouldn't have, but he answered it. And Alex Ramiro's like, hello. Alex Ramiro was calling the guy who they're killing. He didn't say anything, and the episode cut. I'm just like, really? Leaving us on a cliffhanger, but once again, Bates Motel is always good with their cliffhangers. There's one thing I always give credit for Bates Motel is that they do not have many filler episodes. For me, when I watch Bates Motel, I feel like every single episode is jam-packed, and I get the most out of it. Most TV shows, they have their big episodes, they have their fillers leading up to those big episodes. But Bates Motel, I feel like they kind of pack everything all into one episode each single time. Now, albeit this is their final season, so they kind of have to pack a bunch of things into the final episode because after this, there is no more Bates Motel. Sadly, teardrop. But I have to get them credit where credit's due. The only other TV show I can think of where I feel like every episode I watch is jam-packed and there's not much filler is a TV show I'm actually watching right now, and that's American Crime Story. Like, literally the first 3 episodes I watched, I'm like, oh my god, these are like, there's so much going into this one episode. Like, you could have bundled, you didn't have to bundle this all up. You could have, like, stretched this out for, like, 2 episodes. I'm like, no, this is happening, and this is happening all in one episode, and it's leading. And it's good marketing, because if they bundle everything up and they leave it with an epic cliffhanger, then that leads you to want to watch the next episode, and I got to give them credit for that, because I'm going to watch the next episode. Walking Dead lately, they've been doing a lot of filler episode, and it's kind of making me mad, but I'm still a big Walking Dead fan, so I'm going to stick with it. And, I'd say that's my second favorite show. American Horror Story used to be my first favorite, but then, the last 2 seasons were just very... So, Bates Motel kind of took their place. Have high hopes for this season. Can't wait for the second episode, which is going to be in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to close it right here. Thank you guys for watching this. I will talk to you all later. Peace out.